Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of the Central Province in the Solomon Islands. The Central Province consists of these islands here. What you can see here was once known as the Florida Islands, which I believe really just pertain to these islands here. But apparently they're no longer officially called that. Probably the Florida Islands, not Florida Islands. My American accent coming out. But there are like 3 sections to this province. The first one being the Gela Islands over here, which includes the capital city of Tulagi. There is Savo Island, you can see right here. And then the Russell Islands over here, which is really fun because we just got a new cat and we named him Russell with 1 L, though. I wanted to include him in this because it's his island, but he's actually asleep right now. Our other cats are still adjusting to him. So at nighttime he gets locked up in his bedroom. It's my brother-in-law's cat, so it's in his bedroom. So that they're, still separate at nighttime. So he's in there right now while I'm filming this. So I'll include some segments at the end of little Russell. He is the cutest, sweetest orange boy. He's so sweet. He's 6 months old, but he's gigantic. He's actually Bonnie's younger half-brother. Same mother, 2 different litters. But anyway, we'll see more of baby Russell at the end of the video. We're going to talk about the Solomons first. And that's pretty much it for geography. You can see Honiara is not too terribly far away from here. And that will come up in its history. So let's get into it. These islands were first sighted by the Spanish in 1568, but of course people had been living there for far, far, far longer before that. Each of these 3 groups has their own cultures, their own languages that are spoken there, and their own ways of life that are 3 very distinct ones. You can hear little Bonnie crying in the background. I'm sorry. She wants to know where I went because we were playing. Poor girlie. Oh, Bonnie. Bon. Sad girlie. Who knows where she is anyway. So yeah, the Spanish first sighted them at that time. That's when they named them the Florida Islands. But of course people had been there long before that. It would not be the Spanish that would wind up having total control of these islands, though. It would be the British. And in 1896, Tulagi here was made the capital of the British Protectorate. And they chose it because of its isolation. There is apparently a lot of disease spreading, probably from that contact with Europeans. And this place was more isolated and less populated, so less disease everywhere. So that's why they picked Tulagi to be the capital. In 1942, at the start of the Pacific Theater of World War II, Japan invaded. Bonnie blue, 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 blue. Bon, 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 bon. Hold on, let me go see what she wants. Before we get into Japan, we can't have a little sad kitten in the background. I'm gonna go get her and figure out what she wants. 1 second. Dude, I brought her up here and she's making so much noise. She's so funny. Hey, baby girl. She used to be so bitty. Do you guys remember her? She used to be itty bitty. Now she's a big girl. But not that big. She's still tiny for a kitty. She's almost a year old, you guys. My girly girl. She's trying to eat the pencil. Come here, stop rubbing stuff. I know you're happy. Okay, we're talking about Japanese invasion and occupation of the Solomon Islands, Bonnie. We gotta be serious now. Alright, she's gonna go off and be cute. At the start of the Pacific theater of World War II, Japan invaded the Solomon Islands. And we know the atrocities that Japan committed in places that they invaded and occupied. We don't really need to go into it. Essentially, Tulagi I read it was completely destroyed. But it was just one source. I don't know if they burned it down or what. It didn't specify, but okay, making sure Bonnie doesn't make a nuisance of herself. But that's what I read in that source, so. However they went about it, Tulagi was destroyed. But they would not occupy the Solomons for very long, as the United States would sweep in. You can see this big island here is Guadalcanal, and it was in these waterways that the Battle of Guadalcanal was fought. And it was a very big victory for the U.S., right, Bonnie? They wound up taking over these islands. You can see this landing strip, it's not quite an airport, was built by the United States, because they built a Navy base here. And they had a base here as well. And I believe on Savo as well, they had some kind of station there. Apparently JFK, John F. Kennedy, was stationed there. And was a very important base for the United States during World War II. And after they left, all of the infrastructure that they built remained, and now it's a little airstrip. There's lots of sunken ships from that time, warships around here. Some of them have become little scuba dive sites. And that is pretty much the history of these islands. The capital was moved from Tulagi to Honiara during this time. It was just easier for the U.S. to commandeer. Their biggest base was here, so they moved the capital to Honiara once independence came about. I think that was in 1948 when they moved to the capital. I didn't write down the year, but I think it was around that time, just after World War II. So yes, that's the history of these little islands here in the Solomons. So let's head over to Google Earth. There isn't a lot to see here. I read in another source that the Russell Islands have no tourism at all. Gala definitely does, and apparently Savo has some scuba and hiking, but the Russells don't, so there's pretty much no pictures here at all. But there's some interesting ones around here, so we'll go take a look at those on Google Earth. Let's go. See my cat, where'd she go? Who knows? Let's go to the tablet. Here we are in the central province of the Solomon Islands. There's Nkilla, Savo, and the Russells. Let's start by zooming out. Oh gosh, I turned on street view. No, thank you. Now the borders are gone. There we go. Let's start by zooming out now so you can see exactly where we are in the world. The Solomon Islands are actually one of the easiest island chains in Oceania to find, in my opinion, because you just have to look for big old New Guinea. This whole island here is New Guinea. This part is Indonesia. This part is Papua New Guinea. And the Solomons just trail off in this kind of parallel line formation just off of New Guinea and Papua New Guinea. Pretty easy to find. You can see Australia down here, not too terribly far off. And I think that there's New Zealand. I was going to say, where's Japan in relation? But it's way up there. It's usually when I talk about the Pacific Islands, I'll try to be where's the closest other country that's easy to spot from above, but Japan is not it this time, or the Philippines. It's New Guinea, Papua New Guinea. So let's get in here. Let me just show you the Russells real quick. I don't think I found any slideshows here, but you can see it's all very forested. There's the little airstrip. Airport, I guess it is an airport. And little communities here. Oh no, I think there was a slideshow here. The Liru Cut. Look how terrifying this is. Can you imagine diving through this? That's terrifying. That is so scary. Ugh, that's scary to me. But yeah, these are the Russell Islands. Like they said, there's no tourism here. People don't come here just to see. It's just a little area over there. Here's little Savo. There's the volcano. It's clearly, as you can see, a big old volcano. We've got pretty views, pretty forest, of course. Ocean out there. There's a very cool stick ladder to help you climb to the top of this volcano. You can see all the pretty waterfalls and very lush vegetation on this island. Are there any other? There's Dolphin Point. Look how beautiful. There's dolphins. But yeah, look at this paradise here. It's so gorgeous. Oh, you know what I didn't do? What I do every time we talk about Oceania is talking about the 3 regions of Oceania. So we are in the region of Melanesia right now. Let me show you. We have to talk about it every time. Melanesia is roughly around here-ish. Polynesia would be more out here, and Micronesia is more up here. The differences being Micronesia are all former or some current occupied places by the United States. Some of them have become independent, like the Federated States of Micronesia, Kiribati, Palau, but some are still part of the United States, like Guam and various other. There's Midway, there's Wake Island. Those are all just military bases, but they're still part of the United States. Polynesia is when you think of Moana, you think of tiki gods and hula, South Pacific. So that includes Hawaii, that includes the Polynesia Islands here belonging to France. And then Melanesia is characterized by the people having extremely dark skin, hence the name, and more of quote unquote tribal cultures, deep in the forest. They are known for being headhunters back in the day, even though 99% of Melanesian people were not headhunters or cannibals or anything like that. So think Torres Strait Islanders, think the Papua New Guineans here, Solomon Islands, we've got Aboriginal people of Australia, Vanuatu, so on and so forth. So that's where we are, the Solomons. Although I was reading about a culture that was Polynesian that has mostly relocated, I want to say to the Russells, yeah. Interesting. But anyway, let's look at Tulagi over here in the Gela Islands. There's little Tulagi. As you can see, it's the biggest settlements. Oh, there's no pictures, but not massive, There's a World War II memorial at this beach. Let's take a look. It's just a little plaque, but still very important. What else can we see here? Looks like they're digging some irrigation or some... Oh, they've left some flowers there. That's very nice. Some plumbing there for some reason. Burying it up. Laying some pipes down in the ground. maybe some electrical wires for this. Some baby birds in that nest. That's very nice. August 7th, 1942. Can't really read the rest. The sun is hitting it just so. But yeah, working hard. Making infrastructure there. Alright, let's find... I found a really neat slideshow, but I have to remember where it was. We'll take a look around the island and see what we can find. There's the sea cliff. Beautiful. Look how... Goodness, look at those shapes in that rock. How the wind and the waters whipped around it for so long, making all those little interesting swoops around. I gotta look around the coast. I'm pretty sure it was around here. On this island, I mean. Let's take a look around. What's that? Oh, look. I think this is it. Yes. So as you can see here, this is a big old cruise ship. This is the, as you can see, MS World Discoverer. This was a German cruise ship that struck something in the ocean, and as you can see, it didn't sink, but it got listed. So they towed it here. Everyone on board survived, so don't worry about that. But here it is, rotting away forever. They just left it here. Here's what it looked like in its heyday before it was destroyed, and now it looks like that. Incredible. Hopefully now it's a little haven for some underwater life. But probably this person is on the ship. Ooh, it's so rusty and so overgrown. Probably fun to urban explore it, but make sure you get tetanus shot. My goodness. Yeah, here's the underneath. Hopefully it'll grow some cool coral and such. And kids playing. Oh goodness, I hope that they're safe on all of the old rubbish there. Goodness. I don't think I found any other shipwreck sites other than that. Because I read about how, see, look at the poor ship. They're like, yeah. I read about all of these ships that sank during World War II and some that were sank deliberately during and after World War II. What did that say? Very safe place to leave your boat. They offer security at night. No charge to leave your dinghy on the beach. Isn't that nice? Very considerate people. This is how they welcome you to a meal with them. How lovely. Thank you, Kate, for all of the captions here. Look at this. Isn't that incredible? They're playing these pipes here. Oh, it must sound incredible. Let's see what else. Welcome to Roderick Bay Hideaway. And look at this. Looks like they've got a bunch of stuff laid out to serve up some food. Looks like salad bowls there. Maybe these are for sale. A cool little hut. Look at that. Makes me just want to like, oh look, John Ruca's the village chief. It makes me want to just like give up everything and just leave and live in a little hut like that on the beach. John is very knowledgeable about the forest and the plants that grow there and their uses. Thank you, Kate. Look how incredible the traditional clothes here, the local costumes, the cool feathers. That's pretty neat. There's the whole family drinking out of coconuts. She found a little kitten. That would be me. If this were a photo of me and my family, I'd be the one holding the kitten. As you know. You know I love my kitties. Boniface Star Island? Nope. Yeah, not much else to see. But you guys get the gist of it. It's a very sweet little place, I imagine, where things are much slower and more relaxed. Life is simpler, life is calm, you know. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. See, look, Iron Bottom Sound. It's named that because of all the ships that have been sunk here deliberately or during battle. But yeah, if you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing, hit that thumbs up, and let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I realized I kept forgetting to say what's next in the series. Next, oh my gosh, we're going to Sri Lanka. We're going to see a place on my bucket list, a place that I want to see the most in Sri Lanka, which is the most incredible castle, palace, fortress you've ever seen. If you've never heard of Sigiriya, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. We're also going to see the Temple of the Tooth. If you want to know what that's about, well, be sure to subscribe. It is a fascinating place in Sri Lanka, the heart of Sinhalese culture in Sri Lanka. You don't want to miss it. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good night. Good night. Good night.